Good morning, everybody. It's Heidi, Kaisand, and Jami Willett, and we're here at Hen and Chick Studio in Conrad, Iowa. We love that we have customers from all over and on the internet. So I'm constantly saying that we're in Conrad, Iowa, because some of you are not from Iowa, and we love the fact that our family is growing well beyond the city limits of Conrad. And partly because of the internet, and we love that you can be on with us 24/7. That's always exciting. And last week on Friday, we tried something different, and we did a little fabric verbiage.
What do we call it?
Fabric Friday tips, something.
Can't remember.
And yeah, it was an alliteration, but I'm not sure that would work. We're still talking about fabric this week, but I am always making little drawings for our customers about backing fabric. And we decided this morning that we would talk to you about backing fabric and how to calculate that, and to show you some different options that we have.
Because it seems like, and if you agree with us or not on this, it seems like sometimes that's probably one of the most common questions. Like, okay, when we're making a quilt top, we obviously help figure if you need help with that and stuff. But a lot of it is that when it comes to finishing the quilt, what do I need next? And I think we've been running into that question a lot, it seems like, lately. So again, let's help you to know.
And wide backs have changed the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Both in the form of cuddle, which comes in an 89, 90-inch wide back, as well as cotton and batiks that are coming in 108, 106. I've even got some that are coming that are 118. And that changes. So most patterns have some type of a yardage listed.
Right.
But it may not translate
to the backing that you're choosing.
That's right.
So you have to be careful with that too.
Yes, absolutely. And so I want to start with just a couple of projects, and we're going to talk about this. And that sun is nice and bright this morning after a dreary yesterday. How about you come? Maybe you come on this side. You come on that side. I'll come on this side. We'll rotate. Okay, let's rotate. That way, then we've got both. Okay, so let's first talk about table runners.
Okay.
A lot of table runners can fit with a fabric. Grab a bolt and let's unroll it.
I am on purpose doing something that terribly does not match.
That's
because then you can see the contrast.
And so a lot of times this is our fold, right? And last week we talked about our selvages. And so you can lay it out. Just go this way for a second. Let's lay it that way. So a lot of times if I take a table runner, it can be as simple as, we don't have to do math. We don't have to get the calculator out. Let's lay the table runner exactly in half. Let's put the fold of that up on the fold of the fabric. Is there enough room? Is there enough room on this end for me to get enough for backing fabric, which this fabric there happens to be, and then you don't have to piece it and it's all good, right?
Or if it's not, your other option, if you didn't want to piece it, would be to lay it
That's correct.
this way.
That's correct. So if for that table runner was just a little bit longer, then we would go the lengthwise, and you would end up enough to do two backings of two different table runners. So that's a nice way of looking at it, so that all hanging like this one, same thing. If it is small, y'all take that one. You check there. And if the wall hanging is small enough, again, look, I can very quickly fold it and see like, oh yeah, there's more than enough. Because we would say that there's 42 usable inches.
So let's turn it the other way, Heidi, and show, leave that on there, because
and then
if we're going to actually cut it,
how much would you get? Okay, if you were taking it to a long armor, that's another consideration. You might have to have 6 to 8 inches of extra fabric. That's 3 to 4 inches on all sides. If you're quilting it yourself, whole nother ball game, right? And how we can get back. So you get down to the zero there. You go down there, and if I unroll it, and if I have my quilt down there and I add 6 inches, we're already at a yard. I'm really at then 42 inches. And so I would buy a yard and a fourth, because that would be the measurement.
It came back on just now.
Isn't it awesome? Technology is fabulous, and we're glad that you're all here We're glad that you're patient with us as we do these kinds of things. And if we miss anything in this video because of technology, not to worry. We'll come back and we'll do it again. So I want to take a couple of quilt examples. And do you remember the other day when we showed the, let's see, it was called Whimsy, and I'm trying to remember what else. Cross stitch. Yes, Whimsy at cross stitch. And this is a brand new store sample, never before seen.
And we actually showed the bundle that would go with this, the
And
suggested and the background.
Background.
But we'd gotten the
Backing.
but we didn't use it on this one because we
Correct.
didn't have it at
We
that
didn't
time.
have it
So
at the
that's
time,
why
and
we
we have a
showed it.
perfect backing. And so this is a brand new store sample, which we like, okay? So let's pretend that it was a top only. So I'm gonna measure the quilt. So when I measure any quilt top, I make it in fourths because it's easier to maneuver and manhandle, right? So I get it into fourths. Let's get it this way. And I then take it and go, all right, I'm at 0. This is at just under 25. That means it's a 50-inch wide quilt.
So does that explain what you're doing? So you're doubling your measurement.
I've doubled
because
it.
You folded it in half.
Yep. So I've doubled it. So now I'm getting the width. Okay. So now I'm going to get the length. And again, it's doubled. So it's 0, almost 30. So we're going to call it 60. Okay. And we've got 60. And this is where my little dry.
Stacey, let's have you come over here.
Yep, you come on over here. Actually, we'll do it this way. How's this? Okay, so if this is 50 inches and this is 60, and my fabric is 42 inches wide, this is where we have to start to do the math. Like, I can't, 42 is smaller than 50, and also smaller than 60. And this is actually the size of the quilt itself. I have to add 6 inches, so I really need 56, and I really need 66 for my backing. 42 plus 42 is 84. So that measurement, if I put the 42 here and the 42 here, and that means this is a selvage, and we're piecing this together, that's how I would create the back. So how much backing do I need? I need to have a length of fabric that is 56 inches and another length of fabric that is 56. So 56 times 2 is 112 divided by, I'll try to put my math here, 36. Isn't this what they call proving my math or something? I don't know. There's some kids come home and they do that. And that means I need 3.111 yards. So I would buy 3 1/4 yards of backing fabric that is 42, like a 44 or 45 inch wide fabric. So that's everything. Basically, all of our bolts in the store are the 44, 45. And so you would buy 3 1/4 and then you would piece it together.
So Heidi, I have a question for you then. So if, like let's say I have 42 and 42, am I going to have extra length at the bottom?
Absolutely. My quilt top is going to end up sitting, let's see if I could sort of draw it. It wouldn't have much extra this way, but I would end up, I'm going to say, and so all of this would be extra.
Yeah.
And you could use that for binding potentially if we calculated that it was enough. A pillow band, if you're going to make a pillowcase to go with it.
For it. But
or yes,
that might be a question that somebody has. Or
yes,
so sometimes you will end up with some extra fabric when you're doing your backings.
Yes, because there's just not mathematically a way without, guys, we'd have to, and you don't want to piece it multiple times. Okay, so now we have this 66 and we have this 56. So if I were to buy a wide backing, I could easily fit this on 108 inch wide fabric. I'd have even more excess, but I would buy the smaller amount. So 56 divided by 36 is 1.555. So I would buy 1 5/8 yards of wide back. Okay, everybody following me on that so far? Do we have any questions?
Tracy would like to know if you could piece it lengthwise.
Absolutely. And there are definitely ways piecing it lengthwise. And because hang on a second, Tracy. We may answer that question in our next example. So let's show, you step back just a little bit, Stacy, because this is a beautiful new quilt that Jami made for herself. This is not a store sample. She combined fabrics from
Dance in Paris and
what was
Love Never Fails.
Yes, and did a Gundren pattern. Is it Hope?
Yep, it's Hope.
Hope. And so isn't this a big, beautiful quilt? Okay.
The only reason I did was the name of the quilt, or the name of the pattern. Hope matches the face.
Yes, it was perfect. So let's go ahead and let's get it folded into fourths. So we're going to calculate Jami's potential backing needs here. All right, get it nice and folded. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to... Okay, so one measurement, that is 49. So we're at 98 inches. Okay, so we got 98 inches, and I'm not really sure which way I'm going at this moment, if that's the length or the width. Probably the length. And that is almost 45, so we're going to call it 90 inches. Okay, so our quilt is 90 by 98. I'm going to actually do it this way, 90 by 98. Okay, so come back on over here, Stacy. So that means we need an extra 6 inches. And be sure to check with your long armor if you're sending it out as to if that is all they need. Some of them are now going to more, like 8 inches. But, okay, so I've added the 6 inches on both sides. In the last example over here, I was showing that I was using that measurement of 82 inches. So, or 84 inches, excuse me. That's 2 pieces. Well, nothing is less than 84. So I'm going to have three, use 3 fingers, pieces of fabric. So let's say it's like this way. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways. And then you guys can calculate, we can calculate it both ways. So if I did horizontal seams of using 44 by 45 inch fabric, I would then need 3 lengths of fabric that are 96 inches. So 96 times 3, and you guys check my math as I do this. Make sure that's 8 yards of fabric for backing, okay? If I piece it that way. Should I draw a different one or just draw, if I went this way, I'll just do it this way. If I put my seams this way, and I would end up with, if I've had 42, I'd still end up with another 20 inches roughly over here. I could go the other way. 104 times 3 divided by 36 is 8 2/3 yards if I pieced it. So this is a horizontal piece. This is a vertical piece. For directional fabric, that might be, that might be the best option. It would have to really depend on the fabric. Or this number is less than our wide backs. So now 104 would fit in my 108 inch wide backing. I only need to buy 1 piece of fabric that's 96 inches divided by 36. That's 2 2/3 yards of backing fabric. And this is of a wide back.
And so the advantage on this one, in my opinion, would you agree or not, would be if it was a wide back. So we had that option.
Yes.
Where we could piece it horizontally.
Yep.
Okay. We also had this option where we could piece it vertically, let's say it that
Yep.
way. If I had the wide back option, I would have no piecing.
There'd be no piecing. Absolutely.
So that's clear.
Absolutely. So that's where you'd buy 2 2/3. And some people talk about, well, which is more cost efficient. So let's just take, for example, $12.99 times 8 yards. This is 103.92. 8 2/3 times $12.99 is $112.49. Wide backs are ranging from $18.99 to $23 something at the moment. So let's just say 2 2/3, and let's take the upper end of that. Okay. So that $23.95, that is $63. hit it. So that's $63. So right there, you can start to think about you are saving money and you are saving time in piecing.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what we didn't talk about here is, could we have used cuddle on your quilt?
Okay. So, cuddle typically is 90.
Yes, and you cannot stretch.
Yeah, you don't want to stretch.
And even though the fabric stretches, you cannot get 91 inches out of that. Don't ever think that you can get 91. It'll curl back up on you. It'll be a mess.
So, in this case, this one, instantly I knew cuddle would not be an option because I'm just over.
Yes, and you'd have to piece the cuddle, which then you have to deal with the nap, and not to sound like a naysayer, but you'd have to pin the heck out of that seam.
And cuddle is beautiful and wonderful. It's my favorite backing too, is when I'm doing quilt. But on a quilt of this size, I would stay away from it. Some people do.
But cuddle would have been perfect on this quilt, because that one was the 56 by 66, and you easily could have put cuddle on that, and that would have been wonderful. And so like this quilt, it would have been a yard and 5/8 of cuddle, which is I think they're going up to $21.99 now, but that's $35 for a piece of cuddle on the back of that versus it would be hard to piece.
And I will tell you, side note on your cuddle, a lot of times you have a strip on the side. Those smaller strips of cuddle, yes, there is stretch to them, but you can make pillowcases or taco roll-up pillowcases out of them.
Or I thought of you last night because I had to I haven't turned the furnace on, and it was cold, and so we used a scrap of cuddle for a rice bag.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just put it in the microwave with the synthetic. You got to be a little careful on that.
Yeah.
But just 30 seconds, and all that just warmed my
And if
bed
you don't
up
know
just
what
a
we're
little
talking about, that was a take-home Tuesday.
That was a
last
take-home
year.
Tuesday. That was a take-home Tuesday. So I hope that, let's see, have we touched on anything else? So I do want to go on just a little tour very quickly here.
Heidi, I'll mention one more thing when you're thinking of backings. If you have projects that you can finish at the same, if you're using the long arm here,
yes.
If you have multiple projects, think, what is it? Work smarter, not harder.
That's right.
So think about if I'm doing multiple table runners, especially as we're heading into this holiday season, if I'm doing multiple table runners as gifts, they don't necessarily have to be the same pattern, but can I use the same backing?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Or can I piece my backings together?
Yep.
So I can just go one to the next to the next.
That's right. And like we had a woman that came in and bought several of the same wall hangings the other day. Yes. She got the wide back, and the long armor will be able to just lay them out right on that wide back, no piecing involved. So that makes it nice. Or if you piece, like say you're doing 3 table runners, or there are 3 projects that are all the same size, you can literally seam this together and put it on the long arm, and that way it doesn't make it hard. You can just literally go from one quilt to the next. So that is very good. Now, my printer this morning did not work extremely well, but this is a free download on our website. So apparently my printer needs some black ink. And I tried to give you some rough examples of what measurements might be for your back, for quilt top, as your finished quilt top. So then I was calculating the yardages based on whether it be a 44, 45 inch wide or 108 inch wide. So those are some rough examples for you to try to translate that. Okay. So Stacy, I'm going to slide by you and you come along. Let's go on just a quick tour of our wide backs and our cuddles as we go back here. So come along this morning. We've even got a brand new minky cuddle that just came in. I haven't even opened it.
We didn't mention, Heidi, that there is shorter minkies.
Yes, and they're considered 58, I think, usable inches, like 58 inches. So we do have a few of those that work great for baby quilts. We have a wide selection of the cuddles. So these are the ones that we're talking about that are 90 inches and make it fun to have that cuddle on the back of your quilt. So we've got quite a rainbow, and we've got a long armor ready to quilt this morning. It's exciting. And then we have started to expand our wide back selection. I decided if I was going to go with wide backs, we were going to go big. So these are all examples of wide backs. So I'll just open. So like, it may look like just a regular bolt of fabric, but from here to here it's longer. This one happens to be 108 inches wide. And so you end up with 4 layers of fabric right here that we cut through. And they're all, if you type in wide back on our website, you can see all of the selection. We've been trying to get everything in from brights to warm colors to traditional, some a little more contemporary, all sorts of different things. So you can definitely check those out. Well, it's been fun talking with you about backings today. And if you ever need help, you know that we're glad to help you. So everybody, have a great day.